Welcome to my review on the Engwe L20 Boost. I bought this bike with my own money, so I'm under no obligation to say anything nice about Engwe or the bike itself. The review is completely my opinion. So, a quick backstory as to why I bought the L20 Boost. I currently own the Engine X and the EP2 Pro, but I've started doing stalls selling my epoxy resin stuff, and I wanted a bike that was more convenient to transport all my stuff. Basically a step-through bike, so I looked at the L20. My plan was to sell my old EP2 Pro, which has done about 2,000 miles, so maybe 500ish for that, and then put the rest to and buy the L20. However, that didn't work. I got an email off Engwe announcing the launch of the L20 Boost. Now, from memory, the L20 Boost was £1,099 on the website as a pre-sale price, and then there was also an extra bit saying about more discounts, so it was very tempting. So basically I clicked the button for the extra discount, and Engwe wanted my email address, and then they sent me an email with some codes in. Now, the code I actually used gave me £100 off the bike, and the new customer code also worked as well. So by the time I put the discount codes in, the L20 Boost came to £977. The normal L20 is £999. Obviously the L20 didn't have any codes in yet, so you can probably get that for 900 quid. So my choice was an L20 at 900 or the L20 Boost at 977. Now the thing is, I was aware that this was a pre-sale price, and the price would go back up to the £1,300 it's advertised on the site, so it was in now or never thing. So to be honest, it was a bit hard to turn down the L20 Boost at the price it was at, especially when I was going to buy the L20 anyway. But I didn't have £977, and I was aware that time was running out to get it at that price, so I asked a family member for a loan, and I ordered it the next day. So here we are 6 weeks later, and it finally come. So let's have a look in the box. As you can see, the packaging is really good. It's very well protected. Inside the box comes another little box, and inside that you find your pedals, your charger, a little toolkit, and a little bag which had like spare brake pads and other little spare bits inside. Now when you get the bike, you have to put on the front wheel, the handlebars, the pedals, the seat, the basket and the front lamp. I won't lie, the front wheel was a nightmare. Usually they come just ready to go, but this one, the axle you had to put in yourself, and it took me ages to line it up with the actual brake calipers. We were just catching for ages. It took me a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes to work it out. The charger they sent me was a 2-pin European plug. They did send an adapter in a separate package, and the box did say it was an EU bike. So whether or not in the future you'll get a UK bike with a UK charger, I don't know, but I didn't. So the bike was built, I had a full charge, and I was ready to go out. So my first impressions, I really wasn't sure, if I'm honest, like not at all. The thing is, I'm used to a torque sensor, and with those you pedal for a little bit, the motor kicks in and it goes straight to the max 15.5 mile an hour, and the bike does all the work. The cadence sensor, however, is completely different. As soon as you move that pedal, you feel it helping. There's no delay, there's no lag, it's just helping all the time. But it feels like I'm having to work harder to get to the 15.5 mile an hour. Like, I have to put some effort in to get there, even on pedal assist 5, and that was a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. Now, to be clear, I like the cadence sensor a lot. It just feels like the pedal assist isn't set high enough, so it's not helping me enough. Also, I'm a very big believer in why bark when you've got a dog, so I do want my electric bike to do most of the work, and me just kind of do a little bit. So day one, I did like 5 mile on it. I would have gone further, but the weather was pretty bad. It was really windy, the sand was blowing in my face. It just felt like pure grit was going in my face, it was horrible. I must admit my legs were a little tired after the 5 mile. On my Engine X I can do miles and miles and miles and never be tired because it does all the work. On this I did feel like I'd done a decent amount of work. Also, it felt harder to stay at 15.5 mile an hour. It feels like it's slower than my Engine X because I'm having to do the work, and when it's windy and I'm pedalling less, the speed drops off to like 10 mile an hour, so I'm going slower and I have to put in some effort to get it to go 15.5. And I didn't like that. When I got home, I let my neighbour have a go, and she said that she preferred my Engine X. She had the same problem I did, that it felt slower and harder. If I'm being completely honest, I genuinely thought I might have made a mistake buying the L20 Boost. It's meant to be more powerful and have a better sensor, but I didn't like it as much as the Engine X. So after my first go and day one, I was pretty disappointed with the L20 Boost. 5 miles though isn't really a long enough test, and I needed to test it more. But before we get on to day 2 testing, this is probably a good time to have a look at the bits on the bike. The tyres are 20x4 inch Chaoyang fat tyres. The brakes are 160mm mechanical disc brakes. If I'm honest, I don't feel that 160mm brakes work on this bike. I don't know why, but they just wasn't stopping it like I'd want it to. It felt like I had to put too much effort in to stop it. Just pressing the back brake alone didn't seem to do much at all, like it wasn't slowing down enough for me. I will be replacing the brake discs. I do want to say though, the brake levers are really nice. They've got like a rubber texture on the front, so they're very grippy and easy to use. The pedals are a nice flat, large surface area pedal, and they're very grippy and really nice to use. The seat is nice and comfortable with a lever to lift it up to get your battery out. The battery is a 13 amp hour lithium battery, and just like on the Engine X and the EP2 Pro, it has an internal shut off, so if you haven't got your key in and it isn't on, the battery won't power the bike, which I think is really good. So without your key there's no power. The display is a YL81C/B, well that's what the website says for the L20, but in the pictures the plus minus buttons at the bottom are different, so it might be a different LCD, but it looks pretty much the same. In honesty, it's functional, readable, easy to use. I did have a little issue getting the power on and off with my gloves on, but in general it's a nice little LCD. It has a 7-speed Shimano Tony gear system. It's easy to use, nice and reliable. I had no problems with it at all. The bike has front and rear lights which are wired into the bike, so if you've got battery power you can use them. You just hold plus and it'll turn the lights on, and then hold plus again, it'll turn them off. The rear rack is a nice chunky rack. It says on it a 25 kilo load limit. On the front it has a basket or rack, whatever you want to call it. It feels too chunky to call it a basket. It says it has a 13 kilo load limit on that. The front basket is connected to the frame, and it's a little bit weird because when you turn the handlebars the basket stays straight but you kind of turn, and the front light's also on the basket, so again the front light kind of turns after you. The bike has front and rear metal mud guards that are nice and thick. The handlebars are a BMX style handlebar. They measure at 29 inches wide. The thing is though, that's wider than my doors, so in order to get in or out of anywhere I have to manoeuvre it through the gaps. It's a bit awkward, but I'll get used to it. So now we've had a look at all the bits, let's get back on the bike and see how we went on day 2 of the test. You may notice I've moved my wing mirrors. I didn't like them where they was, and I've added this bag on the front. I did put it pointing forwards at first, but it kind of interfered with the wires and made the steering stiffer, so I turned it the other way around. So, there too. If I'm honest, I lowered my expectations and I accepted the fact that I'd have to put some work in myself. But at the same time, I didn't want to do more work, so I figured, let's use this boost button more. So, if I drop speed, press the boost button. If I'm going up an hill, press the boost button. Like, anytime I needed acceleration, I used the boost button. If I'm honest, I'm going to blame Engwe for this, because if you watch the pretty little advert on the website, the boost button is kind of advertised as an occasional thing, but I think it needs to be used a lot more than occasionally. Once I started doing this, the bike became significantly better. When I dropped speed, I just pressed the boost button and it topped it back up. Getting to the 15.5 mile was quite easy, and then let go of the boost button and it stays there. And again, like I say, if we drop speed, just press it again. Now when you press the boost button, it'll only last a minute and then it'll cut out, so you need to let go and press it again, and it'll only also work when you're pedalling. So it won't work if you're just using the throttle or whatever, it's just specifically for pedalling. I must admit, using the boost button, it does feel more powerful than my Engine X. Like, it accelerates better. So, what can the bike do when it's unlocked? So test one, unrestricted, throttle only. The path was pretty flat, no hills, so I'd say it's a fair way to test it. As you can see, we got to about 19 mile an hour. Test 2 unrestricted, I just pedalled and I got to about 20 mile an hour, but it really didn't want to go faster than that. Probably could have pushed it a little bit faster, but that's about what it wants to do. I'm not really sure what the thinking is behind this, because the Engine X with its normal torque sensor will do 27 mile an hour unrestricted. So why have they dropped it to 20? The thing is, when it's unrestricted, it's not actually legal on UK roads, but it's legal on private land. So unrestricted, you should be able to do what the bike can do. So what I really wanted to test was the torque on the bike. Apparently it does 75 Newton meters and the old one did 50. So I wanted to find a hill that'd work for it. Now I've never been up this hill before in my life, and I wasn't expecting it to be as long as it was, but I was significantly impressed by the way the bike got up the hill. I didn't have to stand and pedal once, I just sat and pedalled the entire way up the hill, and the bike just kept going and going and going and going and going. Now, I don't know if my Engine X would get up this hill. I do know though that I'd have to put in significantly more effort and pedal a lot more, and probably stand and pedal for quite a while up the hill. I also know that on a normal bike there's no way I'm getting up this hill. Like, I'd be walking up it, pushing it. For the L20 Boost though, this hill was not really that hard. So, the real question now is the L20 Boost better than the L20? Now obviously I haven't got the L20, but I've got, as I've said, the Engine X, and it's basically the same bike but different frame. And the answer is I really don't know. The big question I'm asking myself is, if I could only have one bike, which bike would I have? Would I have my Engine X or the L20 Boost? And it's really hard, because I mean, I'm really impressed by the Boost's ability to get up hills. That is very impressive. But the other things are kind of a bit of a flaw. I think if I had to ride both bikes locked all the time, I probably would edge towards the L20 Boost. But if UK laws changed and said we could do 30 mile an hour on e-bikes, I think I'd probably want the Engine X, because at 7 mile an hour is 7 mile an hour still. At the end of the day, I want to get to where I'm going as fast as I can without breaking laws. I don't get why they reduced it to 20 mile an hour. For me, the main reason I bought the L20 Boost was to pull my trailer in stock, and I think it'll do good for that. I'm not sure right now whether I'd only want to use my L20 Boost though. Like, I think I'll still use my Engine X as well when I'm not pulling a trailer. I definitely think the cadence sensor does take a lot of getting used to. And it's light and day, it's a completely different sensor, completely different bike, and maybe in time I'll prefer that, maybe in time I won't, I don't know. I think in all honesty, if you're using the cadence sensor, you probably need to be using the gears a lot more. Like, you need to be more active in using the bike's controls rather than just being lazy and letting the bike do everything. And maybe if you do that, it'd be a better experience. I didn't really want to test the off-road features of this bike. It's not really built for that. It's not what I bought it for. And I know it'll do it. Like, the EP2 Pro handles off-road perfectly fine. It's a bumpy ride because of no rear suspension, but it handles it fine. Now, unfortunately, right now, my L20 Boost is out of action. At some point during my test ride, I rode over this thorn and got a puncture in my rear wheel. So right now I can't use it. When I got my puncture, I was basically 6 miles from home and Google Maps reckoned it was a 2-hour walk. Now, I pushed it for a while and it was heavy, unpleasant, and I'd have been absolutely exhausted if I pushed out the entire 6 mile. I couldn't get a lift home, but luckily there's a train station very close to where I was, and I thought, we'll see if the train will let me on, and I didn't have any problems getting on the train. So I've ordered a new mini tube. I've ordered an 180mm brake disc for the back, 203mm for the front, and my plan is when they come I'll fit them, get the bike back working, play about with it for a bit longer, test it like my own time, get used to it, and then I'll make another review or another video on how much I like it then, whether it's grown on me or not. Right now, if I was put on the spot, I would say the L20 Boost is a better bike than the L20 if you need the extra torque. Is it £300 better though? And that's a question I don't know. It depends how much you need that torque. The cadence sensor is definitely better, but only if you're willing to put the work in. And I don't know if that's because of the way the cadence sensor is, or if Engwe haven't set the power assist levels high enough, and that's why you have to put in so much effort. But in fairness, the torque sensors aren't that bad. If you get used to the couple of second delay, they're fine. So I genuinely don't know which I'd buy. It's really hard. I think if you tortured me and I had to choose one right now, with the L20 at $999 and the L20 Boost at $1,299, I think in honesty I'd buy the L20. I don't think I'd warrant myself paying the extra 300 quid unless I absolutely needed to. I think I just might do with the L20. Now, on the flip side of that, if you said to me right now, you can have one or the other, like at the same price, I'd 100% pick the L20 Boost. It is definitely a better bike, in my opinion anyway. It's a better bike. So, I hope you enjoyed my review, and I hope it gave you a balanced view on what the L20 Boost is actually like. If you do have any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll get back to you on them. If you like the content I'm making, please like, follow and share. It'd be much appreciated. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.